everybody, it's Stephanie from nestinginnashville.com. Thanks for stopping by the video blog. Today I wanted to talk about what you can realistically request after a home inspection. So in Tennessee, when you're buying a house, your agent, when crafting your offer, is going to ask for a home inspection period. Normally it will be for somewhere between 7 and 14 days. During that time, you will have the opportunity to hire whatever vendors you want to come scope out the house. Generally in our area, that's going to be a professional home inspection, maybe a termite letter, maybe a radon letter. You can also hire specialists to look at chimneys or roofs or flat roofs or pools or whatever it is that you're interested in exploring. At the end of your inspection period, you'll have a decision to make. You can either accept the property in as-is condition, which is what you have to do if you're buying, say, a foreclosed home or maybe an estate property. You can cancel your contract and get your deposit back if you've uncovered something scary, or you can attempt to renegotiate the contract and ask for specific repairs or concessions in lieu of repairs. That third option is the most likely outcome and what generally happens in a regular resale purchase and sale agreement in our area. The first thing I want to tell you is that you cannot ask for items that are purely cosmetic. If you don't like the paint color, you can't ask for that to be changed in your repair negotiations. You can ask for it in your original offer, but not as part of your repair negotiations. Another thing, and this is specifically for Tennessee, and a lot of agents don't prepare their buyers, is that you cannot ask for things to be changed based on building codes. Line 270 of the purchase and sale agreement, let me read it to you. It says, buyer has no right to require repairs or alterations purely to meet current building codes unless required to do so by governmental authorities. But buyers are often surprised by the length of their inspection report. It's not unusual to get back reports that have 30 or 50 action items on them, and they might just be recommendations or things to monitor going forward. But some of them are things that you cannot actually ask for. So if you're buying a home that was built in the 50s or 60s and it has two-prong outlets as opposed to grounded outlets, you cannot ask for the electricity service to be upgraded. You cannot ask for GFCI outlets to be installed in wet areas. I see this all the time. People ask for this all the time. Technically speaking, I mean, if the seller is willing to do that, then fine. But you cannot, strictly speaking, ask for it because it's a modern code. And there are lots of things in the contract that it's questionable as to whether or not it's something that you can legally ask for. So here are a couple of examples. So windows that have lost their seal, you know, the kind that get foggy in the humidity. Is that a broken window or is that just a cosmetic issue? It really depends on who you ask. Another thing would be something like an expansion tank on a hot water heater. If you've got a house that's more than 5 years old, it probably does not have an expansion tank on the hot water heater. Was that required when it went in? It definitely wasn't. Is it required now? Depends on the jurisdiction. So asking for an expansion tank is usually an easier thing to do the next time you upgrade the water heater instead of asking for one to be added onto an old hot water heater today. And there are lots of things that all inspectors flag in reports that may or may not be worth asking for. Practically every inspection report is going to say that you need to extend your downspouts away from the house, and that's, you know, you can easily buy those at Home Depot for a few dollars. Another thing is that all inspectors are going to recommend that you need to have an anti-tip device on your stove, which is definitely smart if you have children, but if you don't, then, you know, don't stand on the open door. So you have to think about what would be a deal killer for you. What's going to cause you to walk away from this deal? I usually don't recommend asking for things that can be handled by a handyman. Just ask for things that are going to require a specialist, you know, a plumber, an electrician, that sort of thing. Those are the things that are worth asking for. Another thing to consider is to decide whether or not you want to ask the seller to make the repair or if you want to ask the seller to make a concession in lieu of the repair. If the seller makes the repair, you can't really stipulate what vendor they use. So if you definitely have a vendor that you want to use, you can recommend it, but you can't really force them to use that vendor. So if you definitely need a receipt, that's another thing you need to consider. If it's something that you can just tell has been repaired by looking at it, then maybe a receipt's not required. A lot of people are pretty handy or have handy people in their families. So you have to decide on whether receipts are something you want to pursue. If you decide that you'd like to have a concession in lieu of repairs, there are a couple of ways of handling that. The way I like to do it is to say, seller to contribute X amount of dollars towards buyer closing costs in lieu of repairs. That way you have the extra money in your pocket to make those repairs after closing and hire whatever vendors you are comfortable with. So those are my thoughts on handling repair negotiations in our area in Tennessee. Let me know if you have any additional questions, and I look forward to talking to you soon. Thanks.